Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. So on today's video, we are going to be talking about Samhain Correspondences. So about 12 months ago to the day, I created my Samhain How to Celebrate video. And I'm still really proud of that video, although it is now quite dated. Now in this video, I talked about how to celebrate Samhain, whether you're in the broom closet or out of it, and I still really like that video, but it is missing some of the things that I have put into more modern videos, which I also include the correspondences and associations of that particular sabbat. Now I'm still really proud of that video and I don't want to have to take it down because it is the history of the channel. It's one of the first videos I ever posted and I really want to keep it. I also found a lot of my subscribers through that video and it really means so much to me. So instead of taking it down, I just decided that I would fill in the blanks that I was missing in that initial video. And so today's video was born. We're going to be talking about the correspondences and associations of Samhain, so that you can add them and include them in your own celebrations, festivities, spellwork, and ritual. So if you do want a more detailed video on the history of Samhain and some different ways that you can practice and work with the energies of Samhain, I will leave a link for the original video up in the card in the corner of the screen, and it is also a playlist on this channel where you can go and see all of my Sabbat videos that I've created over the past 14-ish months. But for this video, we are going to be talking about the correspondences, and that's something that I find really useful within my own practice. I like knowing the different aspects of association that I can create my own thing with. I like being able to tweak rituals, I like being able to create them up from scratch, and so that is really what we're going to be talking about today. So the first set of correspondences that I get asked about a lot are crystals. Now for the sabbats within the wheel of the year, there are a lot of crystal correspondences, and Samhain is no different. Now all of these crystals have their own unique associations and correspondences beyond just the sabbat of Samhain, but today I'm just going to be talking about them in relation to the sabbat itself. So if you do want to learn more about crystal magic, I would definitely suggest picking up a really good book on the subject. The book series, The Crystal Bible, Volume 1, 2, and 3 is really good for giving you kind of a brief overview of thousands of different crystals. So if you're really interested in crystal magic, I would definitely suggest picking up a book like that. But for the purposes of Samhain, these are the most commonly found crystals. Now these are typically used in spellwork and ritual. They're either used to work with divination, psychic energy, connecting with ancestors, connecting with spirits, and spirit work. They're used in spellwork and ritual, but they can also be used on altars for ancestors and spirits, or sabbat altars as well. So there's a lot you can do with them. Now the first crystal is red jasper, and especially at Samhain, it's the past life association that this crystal has that is really significant. Now at Samhain, a lot of people will look into themselves. Rather than doing workings for other people, they will instead focus just on their own mentality, their own self. And so at this time of year, it's really great for looking into some past life regression, to work out any issues you had in your past life, to find out a little bit more about your past life. And red jasper is one of those stones that people believe can really help tune in with past life. And not only to tune in with past life, but to also resolve some of the residual issues that you might still be feeling from a previous life. So red jasper is really good for that. Next we have obsidian. Now obsidian is a beautiful glass stone, and it's perfect for protection work, and that's what a lot of people will use it for all year round. But at this time of year, it is great for protection against negative spirits and negative workings. A lot of the time at Samhain, people will be using a lot more negative workings. Binding, banishing, cursing, hexing, crossing is really popular at Samhain, and so is negative spirits entering your space. Now, of course, negative spirits, negative workings, they can happen at any time of the year. But as the veil does get thinner, we are seeing more and more positive, negative, and neutral spirits of all different varieties making their way across and wandering around. And because of that, a lot of people will like to have extra protections on around Samhain, just to assist them with any of this negative energy, negative workings, and negative spirits that might come across you. So I don't want to scare anyone, it definitely isn't something to be fearful of, but some people do want to have that negative protection so they don't have to deal with it all the time. Now next is Danburite. Now this is another one that's good for connecting with past lives. It's really good in past life regression, and that's what a lot of people will use it for. Now after Danburite there is Carnelian. Now carnelian is one of those really interesting stones that gets passed over a lot of the time. Now the history of carnelian deserves a video in its own right, but once upon a time ancient people believed that carnelian would help the ancestors pass over into wherever they were meant to be after death. So a lot of people were buried with carnelian, carnelian jewellery, pieces of carnelian, and it's believed that the energy of the stone would assist them in a safe and easy passage into whatever afterlife they were destined to go to. And because of that, it is a great crystal to work with around Samhain because of the connection with spirits and spirit communication and ancestor work, especially ancestor work. It's fantastic for giving this kind of peaceful, calm energy that can help ease spirits across into where they are meant to be, and to also leave out to assist bringing calmness to ancestors and any spirits that are lingering around for one reason or another. Now next is fluorite. Now fluorite is a fantastic crystal in its own right, but at Samhain it's fantastic for psychic abilities and divination. Now at this time of year, a lot of people will enter into divination to help see what is coming for them in the next cycle of the Wheel of the Year. Because Samhain is considered by many to be the pagan or Wiccan New Year, I know paganism covers a huge range of different religions, but a lot of people do consider it to be more of a typical pagan New Year. It is a great time to look into the future, and so a lot of people will do sabbat divination where they look from sabbat to sabbat. So they will go from Samhain and they will look up till Yule to see kind of the things that they need to work on, the things that need adapting, the things that might be coming their way. People at this time of year also do it for the entire Wheel of the Year, so they will do an entire yearly divination, whether that's with tarot, whether that's with runes, and it's fantastic to work with crystals like fluorite to help give you that extra psychic boost that can help your divination and can help you really get the messages that you need to get. This crystal is also great if you want to build your psychic intuition. It's great to work with fluorite on a regular basis to help build up that energy. The same also applies to the next crystal, which is labradorite. Another one that's connected with this between place, the place between the living and the dead, the place between the physical and the psychic, the physical and the spiritual. And so it's great for connecting with when you're working with divination as well as with psychic abilities and intuition. It's great for crossing boundaries between aspects of life. And so it's another one that's fantastic to work with when you do want to improve your psychic abilities and when you do want to work more with divination techniques. I personally like to keep my tarot, oracle, runes, whatever divination method I'm working with underneath a labradorite crystal to help offer that extra boost of energy before I do a reading. So it is a really wonderful stone, not just at Samhain, but all year for this kind of psychic, intuitive energy. So next is smoky quartz. Now smoky quartz is traditionally a protective crystal, but at this time of year it's really great for being a banishing crystal. So if you want to do any banishing working, it's wonderful to use a smoky quartz within that working. Not only that, but because it is a banishing and protective stone, you can help to counter any backlash you might get, but also to protect against banishing workings against you. So it's a really great dualistic stone that works both ways, and because it's fabulous against protecting against spirit energies, it is good to carry around if you have a lot of spirit interactions year round and you don't want to be overloaded at Samhain when there are a lot more spirits that might come across you and interact with your energy. So next is howlite. Now howlite is a dualistic stone, and because of that it's really great to connect with past lives. It's a stone that's very calm, it's very soothing, and it's a great way to meditate with, to almost naturally and organically come across your past lives. So while some crystals might be a little more powerful, howlite is really good for kind of easing you into your past life regressions, for working with your past life in a soothing, calming way. It might take longer to progress into your past lives when using a stone like howlite, but it is very organic, it's very natural, it's very calm. And so if you don't want to jump headfirst into past life regression, howlite is a wonderful crystal to be doing some regression work with, to be doing some meditation with, to kind of ease you into it. So next is petrified wood. Personally, one of my favorite crystals to work with at Samhain. It's fantastic for working with ancestors. It's often left on ancestor altars, or it's used to connect with ancestors. It's a wonderful stone. It's less of a crystal because it is fossilized wood rather than a crystal with crystalline formations. And so it's a really interesting stone to work with. It feels very different. It has a very different energy. It's a very organic, natural, homey energy that I can't really say that I felt with anything else. If you've never worked with petrified wood before, it's definitely worth giving it a shot, especially if you're interested in ancestor altars, working with ancestors and building up that relationship. It's really great to form that connection. And then lastly, we have bloodstone. Now, bloodstone is very traditionally a Halloween crystal because it's called bloodstone, and Halloween is very stereotypical, but it's also really great for working with past lives and also to connect with relatives and ancestors, because it's all about that blood connection, that deep-rooted interactions that you have with people that are no longer around but you're still connected to. And it's a great stone for reminding us that although we are our own individual person, we are also everyone that came before us. We are the kind of result of all the hard work, the dedication, the difficulties, the turmoil that went on in the lives of our ancestors. That's all part of us. And it's a great way of forming this connection and realizing that everything is interconnected, and that's what bloodstone is really, really great for. So moving away from crystals and stones onto colours. Now, colours are wonderful, not just for association in spellwork and ritual, but also for decorations. And in most of my altar videos and most of my spell videos, you'll find that colour is really, really significant. So the colours of Samhain that might be really useful for you to work with in your own practice are orange, brown, and black. They are very connected with the season that we are entering into, the autumnal weather, the darker nights, and it's all really reminiscent of that. These colours are all very stereotypically Halloween as well, and you'll find a lot of correspondences cross over between Halloween and Samhain, Samhain and Halloween. They cross over really, really easily. And that makes it really easy to set up a Samhain altar, especially if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, because Samhain and Halloween line up, in that you're able to use Halloween decorations on a Samhain altar and it all ties in really, really well. So personally, my favourite Samhain colour is orange. I'm a little bit obsessed with orange, and so I use it a lot. It's great for Samhain altar pieces, Samhain candles, anything connected to the Sabbath. It's really great to use orange, brown, and black for. And that also goes into decorations, any ornaments you want, any candles you want, any just pieces that you want on your altar. It's great to include it into the colour correspondence of the Sabbath. So next are herbs. Now, some of the herbs I'm going to be talking about have definite reasons for being very closely connected to the Sabbath, and that makes them wonderful for working with at this time of year. Some of these herbs are just associated with the season, so let's get on with those ones first. So the best ones that are associated with the season that are really great for working with at this time of year are things like pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, apple seeds, seeds and nuts in general are really popular to work with at this time of year in spellwork, rituals, as altar decorations. You also have herbs like patchouli, which is really popular at this time of year because the scent is very autumnal. It's very woody and rich, like the scents you might find at Yule, but it's still quite green like the scents you might find in the summer seasons, and so it's this ideal scent to use at this intermediary time of year. Now the other herbs are sage, bay and pine. These are just wonderful to work with all round, but they are really great to work with at this time of year. Now onto the herbs that have more association with this time of year. Now the initial two are both connected with connecting with spirits and with ancestors. So rosemary is a really popular herb to work with at this time of year because it has a really deep connection to remembrance, to connecting with, paying respect to, and leaving offerings to ancestors and spirits of those who have passed on. The other is cedar. This is considered a sacred herb that's used a lot in ceremonial traditions, and this is another herb that's designed to give offering, give thanks to ancestors, to spirits, to those who've come before. It's often burned in ceremonial rituals, it's left as offerings infused into oils, but it is one of the big herbs that's used as remembrance to the people that have gone before and as offering too. And those are the two big ones that are left as offerings a lot of the time at Samhain. And lastly for the herbs is marigold. This can be used in the same way as rosemary and cedar, where it can be left as offerings to those who've gone before, but it's also often left at gravesites for relatives who've passed on. It's a flower, much like the lily, that's very connected with the end of life, with death, with moving on. And so it has this underlying morbid connection to Samhain, which I think needs to be looked at more. It doesn't need to be a super depressing time. It just helps us to acknowledge that life is ever moving, it's ever shifting, and the marigold flower is very much representation of that changing in our perception and in time. And it's really great for leaving as offerings, either on graves if you want to go and visit a relative's grave and leave them something, or to ancestors who've already passed on an altar. Now the last couple of things I want to be talking about are foods and drinks. Now these are really popular in the colder times of the year because people like having feasts. People like food. I like food. I'm sure a lot of you guys like food. And so food at sabbats is really popular, and it's also easy for people that are in the broom closet to include in their sabbat celebrations. So a lot of these are going to be really stereotypical, so I don't think I'm going to need to elaborate on too many of these. But I will go through them so that you guys know the kind of things that you can include in your festivities. Now for food, really popular at this time of year is anything pumpkin flavored. I know some of you are sick of pumpkin spice. I have yet to have my first pumpkin spice latte of the year. Admittedly, I tend to only have one a year because it gets really sickly really fast, but I do like having them, and it's a great reason to have them. They are very Samhain related, so pumpkin pie, pumpkin pecan pie, pumpkin dishes in any form, pumpkin drinks, they're amazing to have at this time of year. The same goes for apple-related food and drink. Fantastic apple pie, baked apples, they're brilliant to have. And it all ties down and it connects to the idea of using the things that are in season now. So at this time of year, you get a lot of the gourds, the pumpkins, the squashes, you get a lot of apples, nuts, seeds, and these are the things that are mainly recommended to have at Samhain because they are what is seasonal, and that is traditionally what would have been eaten at this time of year. So other than that, nuts are really great. Nuts, seeds, but also breads. Breads are fantastic. They're stodgier, they're richer, they fill you up more, and those are the kind of things that our ancestors would have eaten. They're the things that they would have had at this time of year, and so that's what's really great to have, especially at Samhain. And then you also have the corns. This is a tie-on from the Lammas celebrations, but also things like pomegranates. Very popular at this time of year. I don't really know what it is about them. They are very unusual and they have this mystical energy about them. They are very connected with the idea of death, and death deities are somehow very closely connected with pomegranates. They have a very unusual appearance to them that really freaks a lot of people out, but they're wonderful at this time of year because they are rich, but they are also very closely connected to this kind of darker, deathlier time of year. And I'm not much for pomegranate, but the story of pomegranates and where it fits into folklore is truly fascinating. Now for drinks, it's essentially a lot of the same things. It's a lot of pumpkin spice, it's a lot of apple cider, pear cider, mulled wine really starts to come in at this time of year. It's really popular at Samhain and it's really popular at Yule. You then also have the pomegranate juice. Same as before, it ties into this idea of this phase of the year is all about death. It's about things being reduced back into the earth again. And then lastly, really popular, especially by people like me who love tea, is herbal tea. The idea of using the dried herbs that you're storing for the rest of the year is great. Just make sure if you're going to make your own herbal tea, you are using food grade herbs that haven't been stored with anything else. So I personally buy all of my teas in the supermarket, or I get them from companies that specialize in them so that I know I'm getting the perfect tea for this time of year. It's also great for any of you who don't want or can't drink the alcoholic drinks like mulled wine or cider. So those are the correspondences that I have for you about Samhain. So I really hope that you found this useful. It's a little bit of an add-on to the last video that I did last year. I would absolutely love to know what you guys are planning to do for Samhain. I personally have already set up my Samhain altar, but I'm a big fan of Halloween, and so largely this year I'm going to be celebrating Samhain and Halloween like merged together. I already have my costume ready. I am thoroughly excited, but I would love to know what you guys are planning for Samhain. Let me know down in the comment section. I would love to hear all about it. So I hope that you found it useful. If you did, feel free to give it a like. It really means so much to me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, video ideas, or just want to chit chat with the community down in the comment section, feel free to post a comment. And if you enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I post new magical content every Wednesday and every Saturday at 6 p.m, or at least I really try to. And a massive shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. You guys are absolutely amazing, and you will see your names on the end screen in just a moment. If any of you guys are interested in getting your name on the end card of this video, feel free to check out my Patreon. The link is down below, and all of your support, whether that is just watching a video, liking a video, commenting on a video, subscribing, or supporting me on Patreon, really means so much to me, and I love you guys for it. So I hope you have a marvelous magical day, and I will see you in the next video.